6, a helping hand with your land.
Hey guys, Neil from Essex here. Since you're watching our videos here on YouTube, I'm going to make an assumption that you use the internet to do some shopping for equipment and that kind of stuff. So we thought we'd sit down and talk to you a little bit about a lot of the fraud that we see out there online when it comes to used equipment. So unsurprisingly, there are people out there who are trying to do less than honest things online. And used equipment actually is one of those places that we see a surprising amount of fraud. You can always make that statement of, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And there is a lot of fraud out there centered around that. So Craigslist, for example, you can almost always bring up Craigslist and find a very legitimate looking listing for a four-wheel drive tractor and a loader on it for $4,000, and for a machine that's worth 15 grand, and when you see those kinds of things, odds are that piece of equipment does not exist. Those kinds of listings are actually very, very common. You can almost always go to Craigslist and punch that kind of stuff in and find those kinds of listings there. So if you're looking at a machine like that, I certainly, can't sit here and say that those things aren't out there. Maybe somebody really did misprice something like that, but absolutely don't go and send money to somebody for a machine that you're not able to lay your hands on. We'll also see a lot of equipment listings too where the seller of the tractor doesn't claim to have physical possession of the product. So we'll get a lot of explanations where, say, somebody wants to sell us something, or they've got a consignment piece, or they want us to buy something, and they're doing it for a neighbor, or they're doing it for their son or daughter who is deployed overseas, or there's always some kind of explanation and a reason that you're going to be given of why the seller of the product doesn't have physical possession of that piece of equipment. So they can't take a picture of it for you, or they can't have you come out and see it because it's in some different place than where they are. And 9 out of 10 times when you hear those kinds of stories, you can be sure that that person doesn't have this piece of equipment in order to be able to sell you. As a seller, you can run into these same guys as well. Generally, what they're going to do if you're out there selling a tractor or a piece of equipment is that you're going to get a full price offer from somebody in order to buy it. And then when a check shows up in the mail, they're going to mail you a check for more than the purchase price of the machine. When that check shows up, they're going to know that you've gotten it, and they're going to reach out to you and ask you to forward a portion of those funds to a trucking company to come and pick that machine up. Now, the hope of the fraudster in this case is that you're going to go ahead and cut that check, send it out to somebody else thinking you're paying for the delivery portion of this process, and then you're going to find out that the check that you were sent was actually bad and invalid, and your bank isn't going to be able to figure this out for several days down the road. So that's another way that we've been scammed before, where you think you're selling a piece of equipment, and by being asked to forward funds to other locations, you're just basically passing through a bad check of somebody else's, but making good on money on your own. So to us, those are pretty black and white things, right? When you start to see these kinds of things where pricing is just too good to be true, or money that you're sending to other places, or odd explanation and bad English on this kind of stuff, the red flags go off, and typically, if you've kind of got your wits about the kind of stuff that you see online, you're going to know to walk away. But really caused us to sit down and make this video was that we started to see some real increases in the complexity of these scams. And so what I have printed out here is an email that we just received. We actually had some fraudster out there on the internet set up an email address. We acquired another dealership called Lancaster Tractor and Equipment, and they set up an email address for Lancaster Tractor and Equipment Inc. at hotmail.com. So somebody went to the point to actually go out and find one of our old locations and set up a fake email address to look like us, and then went and emailed somebody looking to buy a tractor some product information for a particular machine. Now, what they were trying to sell was a 2017 John Deere 3025, which we've never had through our inventory, but it's a very detailed listing complete with a serial number. Now, somebody was smart enough to go and actually have that serial number run, and lo and behold, it's valid. It is an actual valid serial number for a tractor that hasn't even been sold. It was sitting on a dealer's lot up in Washington State. How somebody came up with that serial number, we have no idea. As we continue to go through here, there's a really thorough description on the tractor, its sizes, its dimensions, the attachments that are with it, and all done in proper English with none of those telltale misspellings for somebody outside of the country. That tractor is offered for a staggeringly low price of $12,999 when it's certainly worth quite a lot more than that. And there's a location here of where that machine is, a fake location in Lancaster here right down the road from us. So the complexity of the description of this piece of equipment is all real information. So even by taking that serial number and running it and trying to find out more about that tractor, it's gonna look legit. As we continue down and through here, the information at the bottom to contact the salesman is all the address information for our old store, this fake email address that they used, phone numbers that are not our phone numbers, those are all made up. But the surprising thing down here at the bottom, the name that's used is actually the name of one of our salespeople. So somehow someone was able to piece together enough of this information in order to come up with a really convincing proposition for this machine. So just really be careful. You have to protect yourself against this kind of stuff. Really, it's smartest to buy a piece of equipment that you can lay your hands on in some fashion, or if you're looking at making a long distance purchase, make sure you're doing it from a reputable place that has physical storefronts where you can call and talk to normal people. Or if you're buying a person-to-person sale, we have vetted some of these things for people in the past. You know, if a guy out of the area wants to buy something from a local guy here who's selling it online, you know, it's smart to be able to say, call another dealer and have them try to get their hands on the piece of equipment, look at it, evaluate it, get a sense of its mechanical condition and those kinds of things. And it is really worth your time in order to go through and vet a purchase that you're going to make for a substantial amount of money over substantial distances. You know, don't be too trusting of people when it comes to these kinds of things. So if you are shopping for a piece of equipment and we can help you, or if you'd like some feedback on a machine that you're looking at, give us a call. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at Messix.com.